The North Gauteng High Court has reaffirmed its judgment that President Jacob Zuma must face 783 corruption charges. The court dismissed the application by the NPA and Zuma to appeal that ruling. The NPA in turn argued that the court's ruling in April breached the doctrine of separation of powers. Now, to give us a little bit more insight into this morning's judgment, the man who rushed back all the way from Pretoria to be with us is our political reporter, Aldrin Sampear. Morning.
Morning.
Oh, afternoon.
Yes.
I'm used to being working in the morning. Nice to be. Oh, it's almost lunchtime, huh? Anyhow, just give us your quick overview. What did you see? It was very quick in the court this morning. What do you see happened there?
Well, remember that with the High Court judgments, they normally start around about 10 o'clock, but this time around was quite early in the morning, 9 o'clock, and by 9:20, Judge Lidaba was done with that judgment. It is a unanimous judgment, really upholding and reaffirming the earlier judgment from April that President Jacob Zuma must face the charges in the indictment that was struck off the roll. And the other argument that the judges raised is that even if the charges were formally struck off the roll, that does not mean that President Jacob Zuma has been acquitted of the corruption charges. So an investigation can still go ahead and you can recharge the president. The argument from the NPA, you'd remember, was that the court has overstepped its mark, that it is the NDPP who must have the final decision around who should be prosecuted and the prosecutorial system. And there's also, of course, that other argument around the process being tainted, and the justice is saying that it's actually a court of law that must take that decision whether the process has been so tainted that you cannot go ahead with the prosecution. So the judgment stands as it is. President Jacob Zuma must face the charges according to that April judgment.
So in layman's terms, simply said, these have to be tested, these charges. That's what the court ruled today.
That's definitely what the court ruled, upholding that April judgment. And we remember what the judge said in that April judgment. And there's also the issue around Advocate Share. Remember that he was the acting NDPP at the time when he took that decision, saying that he acted impulsively and his decision was irrational. He didn't follow the law when it comes to issues of the prosecutorial system. There's also another issue around Leonard McCarthy's conduct, saying that it borders on the lines of criminality, and that should be something that the NPA probably must be looking into.
How do you see this matter proceed now in the courts going forward?
Well, this is definitely not the end of this case. Chances are that the NPA, as well as President Jacob Zuma, will try and go directly, petition the Supreme Court of Appeals directly, or even go to the Constitutional Court. But the other thing about going to the Constitutional Court, if you remember when they applied for leave to appeal, was that they said that they don't want to go directly to the Constitutional Court and rather go via the Supreme Court of Appeal, because they believe that the Supreme Court of Appeal has the powers and the abilities, competent enough to look into issues of constitutional matters.
Today's arguments dealt with separation of powers, this doctrine. Just in layman's terms, explain this doctrine to us.
Well, so you have three spheres of government. You have Parliament, you have the executive, and then you have the judiciary system. So those are the three spheres of government. And the issue has always been that do not step on my turf. Like, for instance, if you remember back with the e-toll saga, when it was the Transport Department that came up with this initiative to raise funds for the Gauteng Freeway Improvement Project, it was a government decision, it was a cabinet decision, it's a decision taken by the executive. And remember when Outa went to the Constitutional Court and they went in opposing this way of raising funds, the Constitutional Court said, listen, we can't get involved with this because this is a decision that has to be taken by the executive. We don't take such decisions. But then the other issue is that if you remember with Menzi Simelane, who was also the head of the NPA, when the DA challenged his appointment, saying that the appointment was irrational, the Constitutional Court then said that actually the appointment of Menzi Simelane was unconstitutional and irrational, considering that you had the Ginwala report, which indicated that Menzi Simelane wasn't truthful during that commission.
Quickly, if you could give us a timeline that you think we'd have before we'd have some finality in this case, what would you say?
It's going to be a long one, because you still have to go and they still have to petition the Supreme Court of Appeal. They still have to probably go all the way to the Constitutional Court, because that's the other thing that the DA is saying, is that they will fight, they will want to make sure that President Jacob Zuma face the charges. And I remember speaking to the DA leader, Musi Mamani, about it, that what are the chances, because if you consider now, this thing has been going on for 7 years now, since 2009, what are the chances if it continues beyond 2019, when President Jacob Zuma no longer is in office? And they said that it's a matter of principle. So even if he's not the president anymore, he will still have to face those charges.
Aldrin, thank you very much for coming in to giving us his views on the matter that was before the North Gauteng High Court this morning. He's just come back after the ruling reaffirmed his judgment that President Jacob Zuma must face 783 corruption charges. Thank you.